Hello, good afternoon. We will get started in just a moment when everybody's had a chance to arrive who's coming live. Nice to see you there, Claire, Pam and Rhiannon. Hope you are all well and that you're all coping in this heat. We shouldn't complain really, should we? But we do. Hi there. Let's going to give it a moment, and we've got quite a few booked on for today, so I'm just going to give it a moment for everybody to arrive and then we will begin. Just give everyone a moment or two more and then we will get started on today's briefing. Okay, lovely people, let us get started. Welcome along to today's safeguarding briefing. I hope you can hear me over the drilling noise that's outside. If you're struggling, if you can hear me all right, give me a thumbs up in the chat. That would be fabulous. That would be wonderful. And then I will get going on today's safeguarding briefing. Today being the 14th of June, halfway through the year. That is where we are. So welcome along to today's safeguarding briefing. Lovely to have you with us. If you can, make sure you are somewhere quiet. And if you've got a question, you're here live, so you are more than welcome to ask questions as we go through. You can either use the chat function or the Q&A if you wish to do so. But please note this is being recorded, and I will be placing this on our YouTube channel later on. If you do, if you're one of our members and you want to have a conversation with me, part of the Safeguarding Leaders Hub, then of course you can send me an email and we can set something up. That isn't a problem. So let's get cracking on today's safeguarding briefing. What's been happening? What's going on? What do we need to keep an eye out for over the coming few weeks as we lead to the end of this particular academic year? But firstly, who am I? Well, I'm Kate Flounders. I am the founder of the Safeguarding Association. I have 25 years legal experience. I'm now not a practicing solicitor. Well, at the moment, that might change for the summer, but for now, I'm not. I'm also a safeguarding trustee for Cordwell Youth, and I'm an independent safeguarding chair. So I do a lot of work with at-risk youth and a lot of work with FE and HE sectors. I've updated my picture because all of my other pictures had me as a redhead, and this is after a particularly muddy walk with the two loves of my life, Russ and Sam, who frankly keep me sane when it comes to post-work and having my downtime and how I kind of decompress, as it were. Like I say, Safeguarding Association is my organisation, and I specialise in working with those who work with 15 to 25-year-olds. It's a delightfully grey area. The law starts to kick in. It overlaps. It's all a bit chaotic. It's all a bit crazy. And it can get very confusing very quickly. I adore it. I absolutely adore it. And I love working with Safeguarding Leaders Hub members to kind of unfuddle them when they get caught up in mixtures of legislation and what they need to do for best practice. So if you're interested, give me a holler. All right, then, let's have a think about what has been happening. So I'm going to split this into two sections. We're going to look at some of the guidance, some of the reports that have come out, and then we're going to look at some of the legal updates as well today. So the first thing we're going to take a look at are some reports. Now, for those of you working in and around child protection, the issue of child criminal and sexual exploitation will not be new to you. It is a massive area. It's a complex area. It's incredibly difficult. And And Barnardo's have been doing a lot of work in this area. They are petitioning Parliament on a number of fronts. And one of the things that their new briefing has recommended is that there be a new statutory definition of criminal exploitation. They're also looking at the illegal migrants bill. They're also looking at a host of other practices that are currently ongoing around this particular arena. So it's worthwhile having a look at if you're working with at-risk youth in that particular area. Stanford Internet Observatory, they're an American-based company, Stanford University. They've been looking at the advertising and trading of self-generated child sexual abuse material. So that's material that has been created by the child themselves, either for sharing with a romantic partner or for other purposes. They're particularly looking at how that is being used on things like Instagram. Instagram is owned by Meta, formerly Facebook, and Meta in response have announced that they're going to create a task force to undertake an investigation in relation to this. I'll be brutally honest, I have no idea how this is actually going to work and what they're going to be able to do in response to it. What's clear is they have to do something with it. But I'm acutely aware that from previous reports a number of years ago, their teams who were investigating have a very short work-life span because the imagery that they are having to look at, review, take down or whatever is really, really difficult. And if we think about the categories of child sexual imagery, A, B and C, they're all up there. They're all sliding into usually around B, but a number of category A images as well. So it's incredibly difficult work that they're doing. Not that they shouldn't be doing it in any way, shape or form, but it's being aware that I'm just not sure, without an international agreement around how this needs to be tackled, quite how this is going to happen. And I'm not sure what the appetite is for that. And we'll have a look at that in a little more, because the online safety bill is still making its way through Parliament. So if we look at some of the legal updates, I'll come back to Kixie in a moment, but the online safety bill is making its way through Parliament. Now, this has been taking, for those of you who've been watching this, we're now up to almost year 2 with this. It has been, I thought it was going to get shelved last year, and that was my fear. It was going to get shelved at the end of Parliament last year. It hasn't, it's gone back, but it's still at House of Lords committee stage. It's got a final committee reading on the 22nd of June 2023, so only next week. But of course, there's another process that it needs to go through. This is not straightforward stuff that we're talking about here. There is an absolute process that needs to happen. So even once it's been through this committee stage, Parliament will need to take a look at what the committee have recommended, and then decide what they're progressing with and what they're not. And then it will go back. And so this is a very intensive bill that's going through. And I know there are ongoing discussions from a lot of providers, from a lot of internet providers, from a lot of charities around the effectiveness of the online safety bill. So it's one to keep an eye on. Of course, during the briefings, I will keep you up to date with where it is and what is happening. Okay, let's go back. I haven't brought my copy upstairs. It's downstairs at the moment, but the new draft statutory guidance, Keeping Children Safe in Education 2023, has been published. Now, when I say draft, I mean draft. It is, it's not yet replacing the 2022 version. That's very much still in force. That's very much the version you still need to be working to until the 1st of September 2023, when the new Keeping Children Safe in Education will kick in. There are likely to be some tweaks and changes and amendments. This is the first draft that's gone out publicly. As with every other draft that we've had, there will be tweaks and changes. Just be aware of that the version you will see now online may not be the same version you see as of the 1st of September, and it may not even be the same version you see as of the 13th of September. I've known that happen in previous years as well. I'm running a workshop on the updates, particularly for those working in FE and HE. FE, yes, you are caught by this. HE, no, you are not. However, Ofsted seem to be, depending on your inspector, leaning towards this as a guide as well as working together. And so I'll be going through in that workshop what you need to be aware of, how it applies to you, and the things you need to be thinking about to make sure that you understand keeping children safe in education and what the implications of that may be for you as a consequence. That's on the 11th of July, 2023. You can find details on the website, which is the safeguardingassociation.com/shop, and you'll find the link there to book your place. And in terms of legislation, you'll have seen the illegal migration bill, I've typed that wrong, is still causing enormous controversy. Very recently, back end of last week, beginning of this, the UN has weighed in and has made comment around how it would breach the human rights on an international level. So I don't quite know what's going to happen with that, whether this government is going to be stubborn and potentially face the consequences at an international level, or whether they're going to review. I suspect they're going to review. I don't imagine as brusque and as brash as they can be at the moment. I'm not entirely sure any UK government is really going to fancy taking on the international human rights courts. I think they will amend. And we've also had a judgment only this week, which has confirmed that the Home Office, when placing children in hotels, fall to the responsibility of the local authority in whose area they've been placed. So local authorities can't say, not us, the Home Office placed them, they're not our responsibility. If the Home Office place 1,000 children in Birmingham, then they're Birmingham's issue. If they place 1,000 children in North Yorkshire, then they're North Yorkshire's issue, not the Home Office. And that's been the judgment that's come out of the family courts this week. Useful to those of you who may have some of those children on your books. You may be supporting them as a charity, you may be supporting them through education and looking for some support. The other thing to note with this as well is that a briefing the other week reminded practitioners that they are children, and as a consequence, their status within the country doesn't matter for the purposes of Section 17 of the Children Act 1989. So what that means is they can still be classed as a child in need, and as such have access to the support that would be on offer if they were permanently resident in England. So be aware of that. If you are working with children who fall under, who are asylum seeking, who are maybe here as illegal immigrants, question that as children, but Section 17 is still applicable. Local authorities can't just say no because their status isn't settled. That has come out of a briefing as well. So it's a useful thing to know if you're having some difficulties with a local authority, and it might mean you've got to escalate it, but you should be able to get some support from your local authority, particularly thinking of those of you who work in charities in this particular area. And then some more kind of awareness for you, really. Care proceedings. So those are proceedings where a local authority is involved with a family and they are asking the court for either a care order to share parental responsibility or a supervision order to advise, assist and befriend a child. Usually, a local authority is asking for a care order to share parental responsibility, and usually they're asking for the child to be removed from the family. So care proceedings, according to CAFCAS figures, went up by 9.9% in 22-23. They are down this year by nearly 2%, but we are only in the first quarter. So it's worthwhile noting that. But care proceedings have increased. There's an interesting debate happening around the term sex in the Equality Act. There were two major petitions went to Parliament, one saying that the definition of sex in the Equality Act should be based on, to confirm that that's based on biological sex. And the second was to say, don't change a thing within the Equality Act. That was debated on the 12th of June. There's a briefing pack as well, because this is particularly complex. So if you're working in this arena, have a look at the briefing pack. If you do a Google search for the Equality Act debate Parliament, you should find it. Hansard will also have that debate as well available. I'll be really honest with you, I've not yet had a chance to look at it. I was only alerted to this this morning, so I've not yet had a chance to look at that. And finally, just to mention that there is an ongoing consultation around the mandatory reporting of child sexual abuse. This was one of the recommendations out of the independent inquiry into child sexual abuse. If you are working with under 18s at whatever level, I wholly recommend you take a look at this and you engage in it. They are looking at making it mandatory for putting a mandatory reporting duty on those who undertake a regulated activity. Now, Keeping Children Safe in Education talks about regulated activity. It's a fairly complex area, but it's absolutely essential that you have a look, because if you're working with under 18s, you will have people on your staff who are undertaking regulated activities, and you will need to understand what the potential implications of this are. And have your say is the important bit. Have your say about what the implications are for your workforce. When we get the outcome of this, which will probably be at some point in the autumn, when we have a response, I will be doing a briefing for Safeguarding Leaders Hub members around what that means and what the implications are and what the mandatory duty actually is. But at the moment, the consultation is ongoing. So I wholly urge you to get involved, to take part, and to have your say. Because if you don't, you forewarned is better than trying to be reactive to this. So it's worthwhile having a look and thinking about what you are going to be subjected, potentially required to do, and have be the subject of in terms of that reporting duty. That's it for today's briefing. We do have some dates for your diary. We have a 2-day initial safeguarding lead training on the 28th and 29th of June. All of these are virtual, I should say. There's still some places on that course if you have staff you'd like to send on it, get them ready for the new academic year. That KICSI workshop I talked about is on the 11th of July. And then for September onwards, there's a refresher on the 21st of September. Safeguarding Leaders Hub members have access to all of the refreshers throughout the year as part of their membership. And then 2 big dates for your diary. If you deliver training in whatever capacity, from a safeguarding perspective, I wholly appreciate how difficult this can be to make sure your details, make sure your information's current, make sure you've got case law right, make sure you've got statutory guidance right, making sure that you understand the various processes and things like that that are going on, because they update and change all of the time. So I'm putting on a 1-day training update day for designated safeguarding lead trainers to come along, and basically it's your CPD day. Come along, get involved, share your good practice, but importantly, you'll walk away and be up to date with the law, the guidance, the statutory obligations. Hopefully by that point, we'll have an outcome of the mandatory reporting consultation, and we'll have the final KICSI as well. So we'll know what we're working with. And if there are any updates to working together, then you'll be aware of all of those as well. So I'm putting all of that together so you can be assured, one, it'll save you oodles of time, and two, you can be assured that for your training, you don't have to worry about all of the big updates, because I'll have covered that, and just keep yourself ongoing throughout the year. And then the other big date for your diary is the 19th of October. The Global Safeguarding Summit is back. It will be online, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. We're lining up some amazing speakers from around the globe for you, all about safeguarding best practice, all about learning about safeguarding in different areas and how that applies to us. I love these days. I won't lie, I'm shattered by the end of them, but I absolutely adore them, because there's always something I learn from them. There is always something from another country, from another practitioner, from another process that I adore because of its impact and how well it works. This isn't age range specific. This is absolutely safeguarding best practice on a global scale. What can we learn? How do we learn? How do we share? How do we implement? A full day's learning for us. I'll be sharing more details about that via the Facebook page, via LinkedIn, and if you're on my mailing list, you will also get details about that as well. But dates for your diary for the next few months, and I would love to see you at one of these events. And finally, if you are coming to the end of your academic year and wondering and feeling like you could do with a bit of ongoing support, maybe this year's been a bit tough, maybe you've got a new team, maybe you've got a lot of changes happening within your organisation, and from a safeguarding perspective, things are starting to move and shift, and you'd like some ongoing support, then please do talk to me about our Safeguarding Leaders Hub. You get monthly one-to-ones, there are unlimited email support, you get me to look at your policies, to help you with any reviews that you're doing, even support you with any safeguarding audits. You get access to the refreshers, you get access to a growing list of webinars as well. But you have that critical friend, you have somebody you can have a conversation with that isn't tied to your organisation, and help you sense check or just help you reason it out. And that's what I'm here for. Lots of you I know work on your own, and lots of you are there doing incredible jobs. But sometimes you just need somebody to go, do you know something, it's been a bit rubbish, or do you know something, I'm not entirely sure where I'm going with this. That's what I'm here for. You don't need to struggle, you don't need to be on your own. So get in touch, let's have a conversation, and I will gladly help you over and be a support service for you over the next academic year. That is everything for this safeguarding briefing. I wish you a lovely rest of the academic year. Our next session, hopefully you'll be finished, but in the midst of the start of the summer holidays. Have a lovely end of term. I wish you the best. Take care.